All right, we are clear. So I got everything here. Got the video recorded. Got the audio recorded. I will apologize if there's like some skips that come into play because I don't know
Yeah.
what the hell is going on with my internet.
It could be mine.
Oh no,
I don't
no, no!
know.
I know it's mine because it
Oh.
tells me here. It's like your shit is fucked
But
up.
it's okay.
But we didn't really miss nothing that's significant in anything. It's just like little
Okay.
skips and anything. You probably won't even notice it. But I appreciate your time, man. I mean, I enjoy what you're doing and everything, and it was a pleasure to have you on the show.
Sorry it took so long to get back. I have been very busy, not only doing
Understand?
this, but I mean, I work at night, so I'm a microbiologist at night. So it just,
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even get into that, but I was like, shit. I mean, how's you bankrolling all this? But I mean,
exactly.
but
And that's the weirdest part. I have a lot of people. They it kind of just blows their mind. They go, "You have a job? You're married? You have all of this? Oh, yeah. I'm not the stereotypical nerd. Like I thought that was like over with."
yeah, I mean, everybody's this way now, just for the most
Yeah.
part.
Like, how do you think I afford this? You think I just go randomly go, "Hey, can I have that?" No.
Yeah. It's just like I don't have a trust fund or an inheritance and that. I got to go work for this.
Yeah, exactly.
We got new shows every Sunday.
Here we go.
What up, everybody? This your boy B Rob, and I'm back with another edition of the Random Realms with Rob podcast. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you, the listener, for coming back each and every week or however you listen to podcasts. If you're a first time listener, I'd like to thank you oh so much for giving my podcast a try. And if anybody recommended you to me, if you're in that vicinity, use discretion because we're supposed to be doing social distancing, 6 feet apart and all that other stuff. But if you're feeling bold and you got loads of hand sanitizer on you, go ahead and reach over, give them a crisp high five. Sanitize after. Do it before too. Do it before and after. Make sure you're wearing your mask as well. But if you're weary, if you're being socially conscious, pick your social media app of choice and give that person a well-crafted DM and tell them thank you for recommending you to me. Speaking of social media, you can find the Random Rounds with Rob on various social media platforms to include Twitter at 3R Show, Instagram, The 3R Show, Twitch, 3R Show, YouTube, 3R Show. And for anything that I may have forgotten to mention, you can go to randomrob.com. Joining me, I find people from all over the place, especially some that pique my interest. And just one day, I was just scrolling through the randomness that is TikTok, and there was a man, very retro man, talking about video games. He hit me in some of the feels of, the cockles of my heart when it came to certain video games. Because I was like, oh, snap, I haven't played that in decades. So long ago. And then I followed him and he just kept giving me more and more and more. And I couldn't get enough. So I had to talk with the man. I had to pick his brain and just be nosy pretty much. But joining me from the modern retro corner is one Retro Mark. How are you, sir?
I'm all right. How about yourself?
I am hanging in there. I am doing the best I can. How about you?
I hear you. I hear you. Trust me. I definitely hear you.
But man, I had to get you on here. I was going through TikTok, like I was saying, and I was really digging. I was really picking up what you was putting down. And I even as I sit here across from you virtually, of course, we were social distancing.
Hmm.
I see your mask collection behind you. And one thing that I did notice, Superman. I see it up there on your shelf. And a lot of the times going through some of your videos, you talk about a lot of the Superman games or whatever. Is it safe to say that's one of your favorite characters?
Yes, yes, it is. I'm a huge Superman collector. Now, I don't have it out. It's in storage, but I do have quite the collection.
Um, how big is your storage? Because I've noticed some of the videos that you say that you're taking things out of storage just to do some of the video and everything. Then you go put it back. I mean, do you have like your own fortress of solitude with all your
Pretty
games?
much. Yeah, pretty much. I have about two attic spaces worth of stuff.
Wow. So I mean, you already stated that you're trying to collect all. You got to correct me on the number. 600 and
like 677 officially licensed Nintendo games.
Now that's the point that I wanted to hit on because I never knew that there were unlicensed games for the NES. How does that work?
Well, okay, so basically, Nintendo saved the video game industry back in 1983 by introducing us to the Nintendo Entertainment System, which had a feature called the lockout chip, or the NES 10 lockout chip. Basically, that chip prevented anybody from making any games and putting it out there on the shelf. You had to go through Nintendo and get it licensed through them. And so that's why we have the official seal of Nintendo. But there were some workarounds. So currently, I believe there's about 95 unlicensed games, which I think about 30, 35 are actually here in North America.
Word. Wow. I mean, who'd have thunk? Because I mean that was not privy to me until I started, going through your TikTok and everything. So what hipped you to the game? What made you realize that they had unlicensed games and all that?
Well, I mean, I picked up a few unlicensed games. First off, there was Tengen, which a lot of people are kind of familiar with, like such as Gauntlet, Pac-Mania, and a few other games. But there's also things from HES, there's like the Fantastic World of Dizzy, which is by Codemasters. There's all types of just different games, and usually it's published by maybe one or two people, but it's developed under different people.
So was Nintendo the first console that you started collecting on, or when did the bug to collect started hitting you? I mean, when did you like, all right, I can't stop doing this?
Well, it started about 7 years ago.
Oh.
So for any kid growing up in the 90s, video games was probably the biggest thing there. But for me, I was a video game addict. So, I mean, I could sit there and literally play Super Mario for hours on end and not go out during the day. So it really has affected my life until got to be a way to manage this addiction. And so basically I saw that it's okay to collect this stuff. And so it just amounted to this.
So if we put a number on it, where are we sitting as far as the Nintendo count?
Okay, so if I were to put a monetary value on just my Nintendo count on just NES games alone, you'd probably roughly estimate it to be about anywhere from, I don't know, maybe $6,000 to $10,000, or roughly in that range, because prices do vary.
Okay, and that's on how many actual cartridges?
Yes. You're looking at right now 389 cartridges.
Oh, so you like a little ways over half, maybe. So shit, you got a ways to go, man.
I do have a little ways to go, but most of the time I'm out there hunting for them. So that's why it's kind of taken quite a bit. I don't really necessarily buy offline. I'm driving to places to find these games.
Now, is that kind of like your code and everything? I mean, you try to, if you can't physically go get it, I mean, you just kind of stay away from it for now?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I am with pop vinyls. Everybody got all these different pop vinyls and everything, but that's kind of like my code. If I can't go to a store and buy it physically, I won't buy it online. And then I also, because I know how addicting this shit can get and how many different variants and all these other things they have, I only limit myself to wrestling pop vinyls. Mm-hmm. I know that's a smaller audience of pop vinyls and everything, and I think I can manage that a little bit more than the whole spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I have a list. I actually have about 4 lists that I keep, and I'm currently subtracting or adding to, just to make sure that I can keep track of literally everything that I have.
And now, you did say in one of your videos that you do collect the variant copies of certain games, like Zelda. You had the gold cartridge and the regular cartridge and things like that.
Yes. Right now, I mean, that's about the only variants that I have besides Metroid, which there's a silver label, and then there's the yellow label. I mean, they're just variants, and if there's really a price difference in them, it's not by much. because there are 5 screws and then there's 3 screws cartridges, which I would assume a 5 screw means it was the original production run, and a 3 screw means that it was a reproduction. So, I mean, it just really depends. I'm just here to collect whatever cart I can.
Education. You're educating me right now. Now, tell me about the 601. You had a little bit of a saga with this thing or whatever. Across, I think 7 TikTok episodes and whatnot.
Okay, so in my original of Wish, and I was like, you know, this really looks cool because it kept popping up on my feed, and I was like, you know what, I want to try it. And so I finally bought it. I was like, $90 everywhere. It was pretty expensive. So I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and buy this. I waited for about a month, and next thing you know, I plugged it in. Nothing happened. So in the second video, I went ahead and I got my crowbar. This was completely unscripted. I was just like, I'm just going to get my camera. I'm going to bash it. I'm just going to destroy it. So I threw it across the room. I bashed it with a crowbar, and people just were like, hi. The running joke was he was on the wrong channel. So I was like, you know what? I aimed to see if it was just the console itself, or maybe I got scammed. I don't know. Yeah. So I went and rebought the console, and then I spanned another 7 parts just for everybody individually to show that either it works or it doesn't work. Boy, it just didn't work.
Yeah, because I think some of the things that you ran into, there was an SD card in the, I guess the chipset, and that was blank. And then some of the chipsets wasn't even like soldered correctly or something like that, right?
Well, people noticed that there was just some janky stuff going on to it. So I was like, oh, okay. So with the newer console that I bought, the same one, I went ahead and I actually, before I listed the finale, I went ahead and I did some research on it. And apparently this chipset goes into like reproduction cool boys, if you will. And it's supposed to actually play games, but it never did. All the SD cards are completely blank. The discs that came with it were completely blank. And so I was just like, you know what? I had somebody say, why don't you just throw it out the window? Kind of like what I guess another TikToker does. He throws stuff out the window. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do something special for the finale. And so if you guys have not seen the finale,
You won't spoil it.
Yeah, it's, I will say happy Halloween, because it kind of freaked me out a little bit. But I was like, yes.
Now, I mean, seeing that the SD card was blank and everything, I mean, was the chipset serviceable? Because my thought about it was maybe you could program it and put stuff on it.
Well, that was what I tried doing. And I went onto various forums, and I actually found where people were putting on their own sets of BIOS, their own programs and whatnot with it. And I even did Raspberry Pi, I did Orange Pi, I went onto various forums and did other BIOS and other programs and operating systems, and it just still would not work.
So amongst the other things that you've collected, there was among it a 3DO.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't a console that I got too familiar of from what I can remember, at least. But for some reason I remember those games, and I don't recall playing a 3DO, so I don't know where's the space in my memory,
Well, I mean, like, I remember seeing in advertisements for like in GamePro and like Tips and Tricks, EGM. I remember seeing just advertisements for that stuff, and I never had those consoles. I grew up with a Sega Genesis, a Nintendo, but my first true console was a Nintendo 64. So I never really got to play like a Sega Saturn, a CDI, or 3DO. And a lot of people seem to bash those systems, and there's not any positivity. So I kind of aim to go, well, here's the 3DO. I want to show you guys that it actually works, because there are several models of it. And I was like, here's some games, and I'm just going to show you what they are. And I wanted to do something a little bit off track than what I usually do with my Nintendo and Sega games. So I was like 3DO, and then it just kind of blew up. Everybody's like, "Oh, the 3DO." Because my first video, I was like, "Hey, here's the 3DO. Here's the games I have. If you see a game you want to see played, let me know." And it just blew up.
Now, speaking of that, you talk about you have people recommending games to you, or asking you to play certain games or whatnot. How has this affected your collecting so far?
Well, I do try to find some of the games that people are asking for um, when it's within what I want, within what I'm wanting to collect. When it's kind of far out, like Xbox or PlayStation 3 or anything like that, I kind of just stay out of that because it's not what I collect. Um, but if there is somebody that out there and says, which I do get this quite a bit, it's like, "Oh, I remember having this fond memory of me and my mom playing this," or "My dad used to play this all the time. He passed away. Can you please play this game?" And I'm like, "Okay, I need to go find this game. Let me go get it." And once I find it, I do a video request just for those people, and I do it just for them. So those come first. Those people that say I have a memory or whatnot, those always come first because I'm like, it's for you. So.
Yeah. You kind of remind me of my homeboy Nick Bartley. He's doing a show, if you want to look him up on Instagram, called Hunting Nostalgia.
Oh.
And he's like you in same respect, but he is collecting like a wide range of things just from his childhood in general. I mean, from mostly wrestling figures because that's his jam. But I mean, anything. I mean, if you can remember an old commercial, he probably has some kind of piece of nostalgia tied to that commercial and everything. And we sat here and we talked about kind of what you're saying. I mean, he buy these things and he can just kind of feel the memories that somebody may have had previous to it and whatnot, and the connection that they had with these items and whatnot. So I think that's cool that you bring that up, and it made me think of him.
Yeah, like I get a lot of, I get a lot of requests, and how it all started was just I showed off. I was like, I'm just going to show off my collection just real fast, and let's just see what happens. And then someone just asked randomly, "Do you have Contra?" And I was like, "Sure, why not? Let me just do some kind of fancy thing where I'm actually looking like I'm trying to find it, and then oh, there it is, Contra." And it's like, oh, and it just took off from there. So I mean, like I have like for Double Dribble, I had somebody just tell me, "Oh, do you have Double Dribble?" I remember back when the song came on, the intro song, we would sing about this, making up different songs and whatnot. And I'm just like, "Oh, that is a very random memory, but all right, no problem." And so I would just do an intro just for that NES game. And people would go, "Oh, you didn't film the dunk scenes?" I would go back, do an intro scene just for the dunks alone. And it's just like, that's just how it goes.
I could never dunk on that game.
I didn't know how to play it either.
I could never dunk. It's like it would come to the screen, a little thing would go up and down, and I would miss it every time. But out of all the consoles you have, I mean, you mentioned the 3DO, the Sega CD, and all these other things. I mean, I don't think we've experienced all the ones do you have. I mean, what ones do you have?
Well, I mean, if I were to name everything off right now, I have about 32 consoles and counting. The ones that I don't have would
let's
be
go
easier
with what you don't have.
So right now, the ones that I don't have are the CDI. I don't have the laser active. I think it's called the laser active disc, which that one was the one that had the huge laser disc into it, and it had Dragon's Lair and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
The one I'm really trying to go for right now is called the Apple Pippin. Ever find the U.S. version? I mean, I'm willing to throw quite a bit of cash at it because the Japanese version goes for about $1,500. So you could only imagine how much a U.S. version would go for if you could find it. And I've only found one, and it was on sale for they wanted $3,000 for it, but that was like about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, so in your vast collection here of things that you have acquired and everything, is there one thing that you were most excited about getting, and was there a thing that you had the opportunity to get it, but you just couldn't come to an agreement, an understanding on it?
Yeah, I mean, I would really, That would be Sunset Riders. I'm not ever gonna pay.
Oh, hold on. For hold on, I got excited. Which version for
Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo?
There's the Super Nintendo, and then there's the Sega version.
I love that fucking game. I love it. I was talking about it the other day. I think when it comes to Sega and games like that, it's Sunset Riders and Gunstar Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
I love them shits, man.
Unfortunately, the person that was selling them didn't come to terms with anything. I was not willing to pay $400 a piece.
I love that game, and I wouldn't pay that much.
No, I mean it came with all the stuff, the box, the manual, the game, and everything. But still, I'm not ever gonna pay that much for that game. Because I mean, like I used to play it in the arcades all the time. I mean, that was my jam. I was just like, oh, these graphics are awesome. It's just a super fun game, but I'm just not paying that much. No.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, and what do you feel about when they do these digital releases of these games and whatnot? I mean, because I speak about Gunstar Heroes. I have the game on my phone right now. It's a Sega downloadable classic or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, how does that work for you and your collection?
I don't really think it affects the collection at all. I mean, because even before collecting and even after, still collecting to this day, I have a lot of compilation games. Like I have, I have Sonic's Mega Collection. I have, the Sega Genesis Collection and whatnot. And they have all these games on here. It just does. I don't think it affects it whatsoever. I mean, it's just because it doesn't have that feeling of playing the original game, because you're playing on a PlayStation or an Xbox controller, and those buttons are remapped out in a different way in the value of the game or anything, because people still want that physical copy.
And it's kind of like a book versus a movie or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
People like to feel the book in their hands and read and smell the pages and shit, which I'm one of those people. I would rather have the book rather than sit here and read it off my phone or tablet or something like that.
Yeah, I understand that.
Now, what I find is a little thing for me. Whenever I look at some of your videos and everything, and you got your game that you're gonna play, you throw it up on the TV and whatnot, and it goes to black on the loading screens for some games, and I see your reflection in the TV, and you're just sitting there like, oh yeah, it's Christmas Day. Just getting excited to play the game and shit, and it's just like it tickles me, man.
Yeah, I like to kind of, because you can see my reflection, and there's nothing I can do about that. So I was like, there's nothing here because I have a gloss. I don't want you just, oh, well, there he is. Like, I guess he's not having fun. It's like, even though it's terrible, we're gonna get through this together.
you stop messing with people, like wear a silly hat or a mask.
Yeah. Or where it was just a complete black screen, and I'm just like, just kind of moving around. I'm like, oh, there's nothing I can do.
I seen some of your videos, and you had, I forget what you was talking about, but it was a stack of original Xbox games, and among them was both of the Matrix games. Tell me your thoughts and feelings about those.
Oh, I love the Matrix. I am a huge fan of the Matrix. I used to play the Matrix online until it got shut down. And I love the games. I absolutely love the games. I mean, they're just so fun, and they give a little bit more insight to the story, especially the Path of Neo, because you go, oh man, so this is what he experienced off screen of the movies. I was like, yeah, that's awesome.
Matter of fact, I have here on my game is under my desk, but I have the original Xbox here, and I have both of those games in my cabinet up there. And the only reason I got this original Xbox was for those two games specifically. Matter of fact, before I even got the original Xbox again, I had the games. I just had them because I wanted them. I just wanted to have them. Just, I don't know why, but I had those games before I even bought again the original Xbox console. And I don't know, it just, right now I'm really leaning toward maybe getting a Nintendo 64, but I don't know. But the thing is, I want a PlayStation 2 as well because there are only 2 games that I want to play. There's only 2 of them, and I can't really justify paying $200-something for this PlayStation 2 just to play 2 games, from what I saw anyway. But
well, okay. So what I tell all of my followers and new viewers, just everybody in general, is like, it depends on your memories. If you had a fun time with it, I understand that sometimes collecting games can be very expensive. That's why I tell people,
yes,
don't go off of YouTube videos and these YouTubers and just people going, oh yeah, this is a great game, you should buy it. Like, no, just because somebody says it's great doesn't mean you need to go get it.
yeah, it's
If
great.
you have so if you have a memory of, just make sure that you're going to have fun and it's going to bring back all that nostalgia for it. And if that's what it's going to do for you, then it's worth it in my opinion.
Yeah, because other than both of those Matrix games, there was another game, and it was Def Jam Fight for New York. And
Yep.
it was just like, I was on all the places. I was on freaking eBay. I was on Overstock.com, Amazon, and I was just like, $150? I found one for way cheaper though, but I was just like, when I first started looking, I was like, just about every single place was $150, that I come across. It's like, I love this game, but I don't know if I love it for $150. But then I finally broke because I found a copy for $70. And when I got this thing in here, it's just like, it was pristine, barely any smudges or scratches on it. And I put that thing in there and just loaded right the hell up. And I was just like, kid again. I was just like, I was just, whew, I can't explain those emotions. It all came back. I remember getting my ass whipped in this game when I originally had it. And I relived those memories once again. Getting my ass. And I did that to myself with another game too. I tortured myself. It's on my Twitch stream. It's called Blitz, the League, and it has a great storyline. And that's the only reason I wanted to play it, because I wanted to go through the storyline on the Twitch channel. But I forgot how horrible I was at the game, even when it originally came out in 2004. And to go back and get repeatedly beaten over and over again on stream is just like, why did I even buy this shit?
Yeah, but you just go, man, I'm just having such a rush. Though. That's the whole point. You're just having that rush. Even though you're getting beaten, you're like, the flood of memories come back, and you're like, this is amazing. I can't tell them, but I'm having an awesome time.
Another one that you was playing, Echo the Dolphin.
Oh.
And I was like, wow. I mean, was that a request? I think.
Yeah, that one was a request, and I actually found the sequel, which was Tides of Time, and I was like,
Tides of Time, yeah.
Yeah, I bought it for $5, case, manual, and everything. I was like, oh, I'll just pick it up. And I went ahead, and when I was showing, I usually do something called Video Game Shopping Day, and I go, oh, let me just show everybody what I picked up. And somebody goes, oh, Echo, Tides of the Time. Like, do you have Echo the Dolphin? And I was like, yeah, let me just do a video request for it. I still, to this day, can't play Echo. I don't know where to go.
Yeah, it's just like, my main thing about that was I just like to jump out the water and do the flip.
Yeah, yeah, that's about the only thing I knew how to do.
Oh man, that was crazy. And then I think that was the 3DO. You played Gex.
Gex, yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. I remember that game. I don't know if they made a version of that for Sega or something, but I remember either watching it. But I don't know. We having the Mandela effect here. Like,
yeah, so the Gex came out for the 3DO. It came out for PlayStation, the original PlayStation.
Okay, that's all right.
And then of course we have Gex for the Nintendo 64.
Okay, so I might have hit it on one of those consoles.
Yeah.
I know I didn't play no goddamn 3DO. I can remember anyway. And it was another game that you was playing. It kind of escaped me right now, but what I did not know, the freaking Clay Fighter games was a trilogy. It was a kind of, right?
Kind of, I guess. I mean, I never, growing up, I never knew that there was any other Clay Fighters besides the one on Sega Genesis, because that's the only one I ever played. Until somebody said a few months ago, "Hey, do you have Claymates?" And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. And so I looked it up and I go, "Oh my gosh, this is like the prequel to Clay Fighter." It has all the little animations and has all these little different items and sub characters in there. It's like, oh, okay. So I picked it up for like $15, and then I found Clay Fighter 2, which was on Super Nintendo, and I was like, well, that's kind of weird. There was a sequel, but it's not on Sega Genesis. Oh, okay. And of course, I found 63 1/3 for N64, which I was like reluctant to pick that one up. But I'm sorry, I just don't have Sculptor's Edition. I $1,500 again. It goes from anywhere from 8 to 1,000 loose, complete 1,500.
So what do you think is your greatest steal ever? You've come across a game that that was a high value target, but they didn't know what they had. You just got it like for pennies or something like that.
Let me show you.
Very well.
I'll show it for you real fast.
Visual representation.
Yeah, here you go. I showed it off on my live stream, and people were kind of, oh my goodness, it's right here. There you go.
Oh. Whoa, okay.
It is exactly what you think it is. It's Nintendo World Champions 1990 Great Card.
And where did you find this?
Flea market. Guy was selling his stuff. He was selling a Rob the Robot. He was selling a complete NES. He had an entire load of games with it. And he was asking around $150. I was like, oh. I was like, well, you've got the. I was like looking at the box. The box was kind of destroyed. I was like, oh, but I was really wanting Rob. I knew Rob. I'd throw some bills down for Rob because he's pretty expensive. So I was like, you know what, dude? I'm just gonna here. I just handed him some money. I said, this is what I'll give you. He said, okay. Took the box home. And of course, I had a whole bunch of reproduction cards that I had already, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then boom, I'm like, oh my God. I literally thought I almost had a heart attack when I saw it. I was like, oh my God, this can't be it. This can't be. I was like shaking. And the next thing you know, I'm like, you know what? Wait a minute. There's nobody here that can validate this. We don't know if it's real or not.
Yeah.
So I'm not getting my hopes up. And from what I understand, even if I opened it up, it looks just like a normal homebrew. There's no like Nintendo, there's no Nintendo on it. There's no nothing. It's just a chip. Because most Nintendo games have like 1986, 1985 Nintendo on it. This doesn't have anything. So I don't know whether it's a repro or not. I still have it, and it's there.
Now, with the games that you do collect or whatever, I know there's some that you've gotten in boxes in immaculate condition. Because I think you had like a Kirby game that was still in the box, still shrunk wrap, and it was just brilliant looking.
Yes.
How do you treat those games? Do you just never open them and you just put them on the shelf, or?
Well, okay, so I basically told myself a long time ago when I started collecting, games are meant to be played.
Makes sense.
And and I was like, even if it's ever been shrink wrapped and it's never been opened, this game needs to be played. That's what it was made for. But now, and I still think that today, but now since I'm a little bit older and a little bit wiser, I kind of was like, for my collection, I would at least like to have one unopened video game that's never going to be opened. I can find another one. Yeah. Just a loose version, and I can just have that. Well, I did. So I've got Kirby. I paid $100 for it. I've also got Shockwave, which is completely brand new for the Nintendo. That's an unlicensed game. I've got Deus Ex: Mankind Divided for the PlayStation 4 Collector's Edition, never opened. So, and that one actually is really cheap for anybody out there. It's only $25. So. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like games are meant to be played, but I do want those that are never to be opened just because I can say that I have it. And it's not to sell. It's not to sell. A lot of people go, well, you buy them to sell them. No. This is staying in the collection because it's something that I've always wanted.
Okay. So what do you consider your prized possession?
My goodness. I am constantly asked that question, and I can't answer that. I mean, because I feel as though it is. I mean, I have a few that stand out. Like I have Conker's Bad Fur Day, and that's complete in box. I have Chrono Trigger, complete in box. That has everything with it, and I don't even think it's ever been out of the plastic wrap
Wow.
that's inside. The cartridge itself is still kind of in the plastic wrap, and I've never really actually taken it out. So I'm like, oh, because one day this guy was like going to vintage stock. I was like, oh, he's gonna go trade a Chrono Trigger. I was like, oh, maybe if I just stop him and I just like, here, I'll give you $80 for it right now, dude, just right now. And this was years ago. I was like, here's $80. He's like, oh, dude, really? I was like, yeah. And then he was happy. I was happy. Went on our way. I don't know if I lowballed him or anything. I just happened to have that on me. I was like, this is what I got. So I was like, all right.
Do you have a place that you frequent all the time to, to kind of add on to your collection? Is there like a specific place that you go, or you just kind of roam around and find these things?
I go to certain places. Like, I mean, I do go to the flea markets every once in a while, and stuff like that. But and swap meets. But there's a lot of people that know what they have now, and they're just like, oh, so they kind of price gouge it, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh. So I do to go to like places called like vintage stock. I guess in some areas it's called entertainment store or whatever. Sometimes I'll go to a CDR warehouse. Depends. But I go to mom and pop stuff here, such as like Got Games, and which usually have some of the more rare games and whatnot. And so I usually frequent there. And if I don't have something, I can ask, some of the people, because I guess I'm a regular, and they'll go, I'll be on the lookout. And so they'll just be like, oh, okay. And I'll get a call if they have anything in, and I'll see how much they want for it.
Word. Now, what are your thoughts on the Power Glove? I know you had one in your collection that it was in. I don't think it had all the components to it or anything, but I remember as a kid wanting to covet this thing. I wanted to have it. I wanted to put it on my hand, and I wanted to be like on the commercial and play Mike Tyson's Punch Out and shit. But it never came to pass. I've been to many places as an adult, and I always seen this thing in the glass case, and I've been compelled to want to touch it and just hold it in my hands. But I never have. But
well, the Power Glove itself is, just to be honest with you, it's a relic of an era gone by. That's all it is. It's just a relic. It's not very useful in anything. And I do have the cables, the sensors coming for it here soon, because I did find those. But, I mean, it's just a relic. It's a relic of the old Nintendo days. And it's, like I said, it's not useful for really gameplay or anything. It was shown off in the movie The Wizard as a promotional item. Everybody was like, oh, it's the Power Glove. You're playing with power now. But I mean, like, really, how can you really do everything when you're just doing this all day long?
Yeah, it was like, more or less a controller on your wrist.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Nintendo to this day is still very innovative, but I mean, the Power Glove, I don't ever want to see that again.
I mean, I know you're trying to build the complete list, bridged and unabridged, of the Nintendo, the NES console. But what has been your favorite Nintendo system?
Oh, the N64 is my favorite.
Word. Favorite game?
Favorite game would probably be, I like Hybrid Heaven. That's a good game. It was by Konami. It was kind of it was a small action RPG. It's kind of lesser known out in the world.
Yeah, because I sure didn't.
That and I always played Turok. Turok 2 was my jam.
Yeah. Matter of fact, we talk about the age that we live in and the digital advancements. I just got Turok 2 as a free digital download from Amazon Games. So
yeah, I've actually I actually played the PC version of those, and as good as they are, I still prefer the Nintendo 64 version.
Yeah, I understand that. Feeling it
just
in your hands.
Exactly, exactly.
Because I tried. I'm not new to computer gaming, but I live and die by the console,
Yeah.
And I got this brand new computer here now, and when I got it, I was like, I ain't playing no goddamn games on this shit. And lo and behold, they just throwing games at me. It's like, here, take them. And I was like, and I'm sitting here with this mouse and this keyboard, and I'm like, this. Then I just went bought me a controller, and I was like, yeah, this is how
Mhm.
we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But if anything, um, I look at your collection, and I'm just amazed by it. It's just so many. So I have to say so many moving parts, but none of that shit moving. But I don't know. It's just, when do you feel like enough will be enough? I know I know you're trying to build that complete list, but I mean, let's just say within the next 2 years, you conquer it. You get every one of those games, the unlicensed and the licensed. I mean,
Mhm.
when do you think it'll be it?
Well, I think after my Nintendo 60 or the Nintendo Entertainment System is completely fully collected, I think I'll rest for just a little bit, and then it's on, and then it'll be on to the Sega Genesis.
Well, how many? What's the count on that? The game?
800,
Oh shit!
which right now I have about 115 of.
Oh yeah, ooh buddy.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. I mean, I just want to finish the NES library first, and the rest of it is just if I remember it.
Yeah. Now, did you? Because I don't know if it was a regional thing or not, but I had a thing coming up called the Sega Channel.
Hmm.
Were you familiar with that, or did y'all have any of that?
Yep, I remember growing up with that. Because I think that was like the first time that my parents actually got cable
Yeah.
for the first time. Because I mean, like everybody had rabbit ears, and then tinfoil on them, but we finally got cable, and I guess it was on the pay-per-view channel or whatever, and it said the Sega Channel, and I was like, oh my gosh, we can hook this back. Can we hook this up to the Sega Genesis? And like lo and behold, I think we got it from our service provider or whatever, and we hooked it up, and I got to play Vector Man 2 on it. I was like, oh my god, I have this game, but I can play it on my TV through this. This is awesome.
Fucking Vector Man. I was talking about this game the other day, man. Yeah, damn, you turn to a helicopter and shit and do all kind of junk.
Yes.
I can remember it because they changed it up quite a bit, as it moved along. Because when you when they first started doing it, you would play the games for a month, and then it would change to another set of games that you can play. And then after a while, it started changing every week or whatever. And I was just like, we would stay up till midnight and just wait to watch the game menu change and see what color it's gonna be, and be like, all right, what games we got in here now?
I know, right? It was a simpler time back then.
Oh man, you telling me? I can remember one game that always would mess me up was that Rambo game.
Oh.
Oh man, we're sitting there trying to with the arrows and shit, throwing
Yeah.
the helicopter and the tank and shit, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why did they do this?
Yes, I do remember that.
Oh, one game I did want to ask you about if you had in the collection, because I mean it's on the list if you're trying to get all of them.
Yeah.
Do you have the ET game?
I do have the ET game.
Was it hard to come by?
No, it wasn't.
That's probably here. I mean, here's your purchase, and here we have this extra copy of ET. You can have.
Actually, I think that was what I was. That's what I was kind of starting off with first before I did my Nintendo collection. I was like, hey, you know what? I have an Atari 2600. I bought off a friend of mine, and I was like, let me just go get a couple of games. Let me just see if I can just find a lot. Well, I didn't realize there was just that many games for it. So I was like, no, I'm good. But I did pick up ET for it, and I was like, oh. And, it's not that bad. It really isn't. If you read the instructions, it's not that bad.
Okay. Yeah, and that was the thing that you harped on in your videos, reading the instructions.
Yes. That is one thing that I have to tell everybody. Read the instruction manual. You can find it online. I know you can, because I digitally downloaded every Nintendo instruction manual, because I'm like, I have to know how to play this game. If I'm going to go in blind like everyone else does, I'm going to hate this game. I need to know what the story is. I need to know what the items are going to do. I need to know.
Yeah, I remember getting my ass whooped because I gave away the Street Fighter 2 Super Nintendo instruction manual.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom paid all this money for this Super Nintendo, and the only game they had for it was Street Fighter 2. and I think it was like all like $179 or some shit. Wow, a whole bunch of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was proficient at the game. I read the instruction book. I read the instructions. I knew the moves and shit. And I took it to school. I was just in the bathroom, after I done my bit and washed my hands. I had the book, and I'd just be sitting in the bathroom looking through the book and everything. And I thought I had it. It was just locked in my memory. I didn't need this shit anymore. So I gave it to somebody. I was like, "Here, you can have this. You goddamn peasant. I don't need this book." You know. And then my brother came over, and he's way older than me, and I'm kicking his ass. I'm doing all the moves. I just freaking Ryukin all the shit. And he's like, "How you do that?" I was like, I read the instructions. Where's the instruction book? Oh, I gave it away. You did what? Mama paid all this money for this game, and he went tell, and she whipped my ass because you would have thought that I gave away the goddamn game itself or the console. The way I got my ass whipped behind the instruction book. But yeah, that is that's why I hate Street Fighter to this day.
Yeah, the instruction manual is always important.
Yeah, especially the ward off ass whippings.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I see so many people going in blind, and they don't know what they're doing, and it's like, they get really tired of the game. It's like, oh, this game sucks. Well, did you read the instruction manual? Did you figure out how to play it? Oh, no. Well, there's your problem. I mean, even though the instruction manual just kind of told you how to play, gave you some story, the items, and the monsters that were in it, yeah, it could have been still tough, but at least you knew how to play it.
I find myself a little more now just wanting to jump into the game a lot more. There's a game that came out now called I think it's Genshin Impact.
Yeah, I see a lot of advertisements for that.
Yeah, exactly. It's free on mobile. It's free on PC. It's free on PlayStation, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to jump in. They had a whole bunch of that story in the beginning, which was pretty good. It set up the story moving forward, but it's all this tutorial shit. And I just want to hit shit with my sword.
Yeah.
Kind of roam around and everything, and I just find myself getting a little antsy. But I know I'm gonna need to know how to do it because I'm gonna have to know how to play the game later. But what are your thoughts, lastly, on Kingdom Hearts?
Well, I am a big player of. Well, I used to be a big player of Kingdom Hearts. I played only 1 and 2. I never played any of the other ones because I thought it was kind of pointless to go and buying different systems for all the games. I was like, all right. And so I went on to Wikipedia. I was like, I'm just going to read the story. And then I was like, oh, this is so convoluted. I was like, oh, wow, I don't understand any of it. But I love the first 2 games, especially, when they first came out. And I actually bought the all-in-one package not too long ago. So I can actually go back and replay everything so I can understand the story. And I also bought the concert pack that was DLC for it. So I was like, you know what, just might as well just get everything together so I don't miss out on anything. So right now I'm just replaying the first one. I haven't played the third one yet, so we'll see.
What do you think about them controls on that first one?
It has taken some time to get used to them. I'm like, it took. I was like, man, I do not remember this game being this clunky
I don't
before.
either, man. Because this is what pisses me off. You just said you bought the all-in-one pack. It had all the sequential games, part 3, all that shit, right? So they just did that not too long ago. Here I am. I done bought part 1 and 1.5 remix. I done bought part 2.2 fucking remix, and then I got part 3 in there, and I'm just like, all right, yeah, play through all these things or whatever, because they got multiple games on all those discs, and all those subsequent games that came in the all-in-one pack. I didn't know they was gonna make an all-in-one pack later, so I went and found all these shits, and it...
Yeah, no. Because I found it. I found the all-in-one for $30 on the PlayStation Network. I was like, oh, I'm definitely gonna not miss this, so I might as well just get it.
Yeah, I went through all that rigmarole trying to get those damn games, and I played the first one, and I got them controls. I was like, why did I even bother? Just put it back in the closet.
Yeah, because I was like, with the first one, I was about to quit the first one as soon as I started fighting, because I was like, why am I going so slow? Why am I clunky? What is going on? Shouldn't he be like hitting multiple targets and not just Let me just single target this while you have 15 other things hitting you. And you're like, oh, this is not fun.
Yeah,
But
because the only reason I bought those first two and the rest of them was 3 just came out. So I didn't want to play 3 until I went through the rest of it. And then, you know, I got a younger child and, you know, she like Disney and she's familiar with all these characters. Like, oh, this would be great for me and the kid to go through. So we started going through the first one. Now, just like, and then she just kind of lost interest and just like,
yeah.
I never seen her again after that.
Yeah, no, I understand. Trust me.
But man, I appreciate this trip down memory lane. You know, I mean, you've educated me. You made me, you know, more knowledgeable. But well, I wouldn't say more knowledgeable. You made me more aware of certain things and whatnot. And I really appreciate that. But before we go, let everybody know where they can find you on the various social media platforms.
Well, you guys can find me on TikTok, which is the Modern Retro Corner. You can also find me on my YouTube channel, which I do even more obscure games, which is the Modern Retro Corner.
Word. So as it has been for every guest of the Random Rounds with Rob, the door is always open for you to come back to promote your next big thing or just to come to shoot the shit.
I want to thank you very much for letting me be on your show.